Good morning, dear listener, fellow travelers on the journey. I am Lyons, and this is Raven Insight, a place where I talk about my journey to higher consciousness and self discovery. I'm not a professional by any means, I'm simply somebody who is going through the process on their own, and I'm sharing my insights as I go along the way so that you all don't have to go through the same suffering that I had to go through. I've had such wonderful feedback already on the channel, and I thank you all so much. So, if you're a first time listener, you're of course welcome. And if you're coming back, thank you so much for spending your time with me. Time is one of the most valuable things we have in this world. And for you to carve out part of your day to spend it with me, that means more than you could ever imagine. So, I'm not going to waste your time. Let's spend about 20 minutes or so talking about life and consciousness and getting back in tune with yourself and maybe feel a little better. Well, doesn't that sound good? In this world of negativity, we all need to be better. And if we want a better world, it starts with the change here, right? It's what Gandhi said. Be the change you want to see in the world. Once you change yourself, you can change your family and those around you. Once you change your family, maybe the dynamic of your neighborhood changes. Maybe you have better relationships with your neighbors. Maybe that spreads out to the whole neighborhood. Now maybe there's neighborhood community picnics again. Maybe we're seeing each other and talking to each other as humans and people and engaging in humanity again rather than sitting behind screens and talking trash on Facebook all day long, right? And then maybe once we heal our neighborhoods, maybe we heal our cities. And we heal our cities and heal our towns, we heal our states, we heal our countries, we heal our world. But it all starts with the self. And last time when I was talking, I left us off with a basic tutorial on meditation, right? And a lot of that focused on breathing, air in through the nose, deep, oxygenating the body, feeling that light and presence filling you and displacing all the negativity, and you exhale it out. And when you got to that place of great comfort, I wanted you to start wrestling with a specific question. And that question was, who are you? So I want to dig more into what I mean by that question, because a lot of you are probably struggling with what I mean. Like, I know who I am, and again, what are we? We're the stories we tell ourselves. We're the stories that we've inherited from somebody else. Like right now, try to tell me who you are without telling me a story. What does that even mean? Like, if you were to introduce yourself to someone on the street, they'd be like, what's your story? I'm from this place. I grew up here. I do this for a living. I enjoy these sort of activities. But is it you? I mean, that's really the question, okay? Um, in ancient times, there was a story, right? And philosophers love to use it as an example. And it's really kind of an important example in modern times, too, with modern technology. It's going to be kind of a weird question going forward, right? So this is the ship of Theseus. Theseus was a Greek hero. He was the dude who slayed the Minotaur. And after he did that, Minotaur was in Crete. They brought his ship, the ship of Theseus, to Athens, where it sat there in a bay for a couple centuries as like this great memorial to Theseus. Well, over time, it's a boat. It's made of wood, so it's going to rot, right? I mean, the sails are going to go first. You got to replace the sails. You got to replace the ropes at some point, and a couple of the wood pins that hold the ropes in. Sure, not a big deal. You need a new anchor. Oh, you need a new part to the hull. Replace this board, replace that deck board. Eventually, you have to replace the keel. So there comes a point where you're replacing so many parts of the ship. The question is, at which point did it cease to become the ship of Theseus? It wasn't the exact same ship that Theseus rode on, but everyone recognizes it as that ship. But there was a point in the replacement of the parts where we instinctively want to say it's not the same ship, yet there's a part of us that says it is. Well, this becomes more complicated if you ask, well, what happens if you took all the discarded parts and you reassembled the second ship? which is the true ship of Theseus. And why I say this is important in modern times is just think of where we're getting with technology, right? Say that they could take your DNA and make a clone blank of you, just grow you in a test tube, your exact same body, everything. And then they were able to extract all of your mind out of your brain, all your thoughts, feelings, experiences, everything that you've come to know up till now, and they stuck it in that clone. So now it's got the same DNA and the same physical body as you, the same memories and experiences and everything as you. So, is that you? Well, that you would swear up and down that that is you, because you would believe you are you, and so that also believes you are you. But which is you? And why do you believe that you are the you that you are? Like, what is the differentiation? So that's what we're trying to get to. And what the ship of Theseus is really talking about is, again, the concept of deconstruction. So I mentioned that we are all have our attachments. Like, not only do we have attachments to physical things, but we have attachments to concepts, attachments to masks, and attachments to stories. So when you're on the path to higher consciousness, what you're really trying to do is detach from your stories and align to what those stories and masks were covering up. And this is really kind of heady stuff. So I'm going to step back a little and bring it into the world of psychology. And one of the people who talked a lot about this kind of stuff, aside, I've mentioned the names before, Carl Jung talks about the masking, and he talks about a lot of the different parts. So he's very good. Alan Watts talks about a lot of this. But in particular with this exact topic, Eckhart Tolle talks about this a lot, and pain bodies, and how things that impact that inner self that go unresolved are really the source of a lot of our pain. And Tolle is thorough, but like my issue with him is the German existentialism. By the time you're done, you're either going to feel better about yourself or you're going to feel even more weirdly depressed hearing a German guy drone on about the true self is inside the pain bodies that were earned when you were a child from things that your parents failed to. Yeah, it's all true, but sometimes the message is in the delivery, and I find his stuff a little much. But the concepts are there, right? There is a you inside of what you think is you that is what you got to get to. And when things hurt you, that's the part that gets hurt. And the part that you think is you is really trying to protect that inner you. So now I'm going to break it out in psychological terms so that you can visualize this in a way that might make more sense. So I did a quick drawing here on my whiteboard. So like, this is how it works, right? This is you in the center. You are here. This is the you that is the true you. But we also have these other aspects of the mind, the id, the superego, and the ego. So the id is what you see in those classic cartoons, right? The little devil on your shoulder who's always telling you, hey, yeah, let's go for it. This would be fun. Let's do all the things. That's the part of you that is inspired and just wants to go wild and try stuff. The superego over here, that is the rule set. That's your inner mom voice in your head saying, oh, I don't know. That doesn't seem like a good idea. Hey, let's jump off this cliff. That would be fun. I don't know. You don't know how deep that water is. So those are like the two voices inside your head, but they're not you. Those are voices trying to influence you one way or the other. And the most insidious of them all is the ego up here at the top. That is a combination of the stories we tell ourselves that we are and the mask that we wear in society to placate ourselves, to fit in our job, to fit in with our spouse, to fit in with our friend. They're how we act around other people. You know as well as I do that when you're naked and alone in the shower, you do some weird stuff you ain't telling anybody about, right? That's you. I mean, that's you in the weird moments, in the quiet times. You who can't sing or singing songs off key just because you like the song. You don't care who's judging you. You don't care. It's that moment of pure, unadulterated connection. And that's what we're going to. And you're not the stories you're telling yourself either. That's just stories. That's just a shorthand way. Ludwig Wittgenstein, who was a 20th century analytical philosopher, which is a philosophy on language, said about language that language is that through which we can understand everything, but it's also that which prevents us from understanding everything. All right. So, like, if there's a table, it's a table. You experience it as a table, even though you can't yourself describe what a table is. I mean, you think you can. It's a flat surface that you put stuff on 4 legs. But can you have a 3-legged table? Sure. Can you have a 1-legged table, pedestal table? Well, sure. So the legs don't have anything to do with the tableness of it. Does it have to be a rectangular top, or can it be round? Does it have to be big, or does it have to be small? There's an inherent tableness, an inherent platonic form, an ideal of what a table is that we inherently understand. But once we put language on it to say that is table, that word becomes a wall between us and true understanding. And in many ways, we're doing that with ourselves. What are we inside? And we do live in this very logical world, a very practical world, a very data-oriented world that wants to be quantifiable. That's why it's very easy for us to see ourselves not as ourselves, but as our egos. So ego is a very dangerous thing. It is both what sustains us, pushes us, and destroys us at the same time. Because remember, the ego is not you, but it wants to tell you it is you. It is the you that is protecting yourself from the outside world, from everything, including your own understanding of itself. The you, like the language in the table example, is the gatekeeper between you actually knowing yourself, because the ego is always trying to define yourself. And to know yourself, it's not a thing of definition. It's a thing of experience and pure knowing. It's using that second mind in your stomach. It's the sense of it. So how do you get there? Like, how do you know what it is? And again, it's feeling, it's experience, it's being purely present with a child's mind. And so, like, so much of psychotherapy, this was a trend in the 70s and the 80s. They're always talking about going back to your childhood. And my God, it makes you want to roll your eyes so much that your eyes pop out of your head. Like, if I ever ask any of y'all to take a bunch of couch cushions and some blankets and rebirth yourself in the living room, just send me to the psych ward, because I think I've gone a little too far with all this. But there is some truth in, you have to go back to your youth. As we go into our lives, experience is great, but we're spending more time in the material world. Children are new to the material world, so they're learning how to live within it. And so much of their mind is in the ethereal, whether it's spiritual, imaginative, or just a tabula rasa that just needs to be filled. They're a sponge. They're ready to learn. They're ready to grow. They're ready to experience. They don't ask questions. They just do. And that is presence. And that's something we need to get back to. So I think you'll find, as you do this journey and you're meditating, you say, who am I? Well, I'm this. Say, am I? I'm an unemployed worker. Am I? Is that what you are? Like, let me ask you this. Say you lost your job, and right now you're in a funk. And that is the story you're telling yourself. I was a software developer. Now there's no jobs. Everything is in India. Everything is AI. I will never work again. I am sad. I am a failure. I have failed my family. Okay, I hear you. And those are all valid stresses. But who's saying that? Who's saying that in your mind? Who's saying that? Is it your id? Nah, your id's just like, screw this, let's just go out and party. The superego is saying, oh, yes, this is all true. And because of this, you need to buckle down and find another job. No, it's your ego that's telling you that. And how does your ego know? Let me ask you this. When you were you born into your job? So you were like born, you were spit out at a keyboard and you were keyboarding and coding that day, right? That's what you always were? No? Okay, then what were you before you had your job? How did you define yourself then? You married? Or you're in a relationship? Were you always in that relationship? No? Then how did you define yourself before you were in that relationship? If you lost your arm or you lost your leg, are you still you? Like, if you were only your head, are you still you? Like, at what point can we remove the things in your life, physical, practical, and it still be you? What is the you? What is the you that is within you? And it's really hard to get there. And you're not going to get there by thinking. You're going to get there by feeling. You're going to get there by experiencing. That's why I say get out in nature. If for nothing else, when you're breathing and you're experiencing life, put yourself back into childhood wonder, okay? Feel what the wet dew on your feet feels like. Does dew feel different than rain on the grass? What's the smell of a pine forest on a hot day when the humidity is high? What's the sound at night when the grasshoppers and crickets are making noise in the summer? Like, what do fireflies look like in a field? And can you recreate that magic in any video game? What's it like to have your first love? What's it like to see a really beautiful sunset? What's it like to eat your favorite food for the first time? These are pure experiences, When I was going through this journey, and I was struggling a lot for a long time. And I would always say to myself, I was never happy since I moved here from Buffalo, since I was like 4 or 5. 4 or 5, 4 or 5, 4 or 5, 4 or 5. That's like when I last knew true, pure happiness. And so I was like, okay, but why? And yeah, I was teased, especially after I moved up here. But I had some bad things happen to me even before I left Buffalo, where I was already starting on that road to negativity. And I was like, when was the last time you knew just like this pure, unadulterated, innocent joy? And for me, it always comes down to like this one memory. One memory. And I know a lot of us have had rough childhoods. And it's hard to think back in your life, especially if you've been through a long period of negativity, to find your joy. But it's kind of like Harry Potter, right? I'm sure there's a few Potterheads out there. But when they're teaching them how to do the Patronus charm, which is essentially them creating an ethereal spiritual animal for themselves, they always say, you have to dig into your heart to put yourself in the place of that pure love and happiness, of a pure emotive perfection of presence, essentially. I mean, they put it in different words, but like that's what they were trying to get to. And so like, Harry's thinking about like, like his first birthday cake or something that meant something to, and it was about the feeling. It wasn't about the people there, the experience. It was about the feeling generated. And for me, I was 4 years old. I was in Buffalo, and we lived in this beautiful suburban neighborhood down in the Harris Hill area. And in those days, there was these huge trees, like oak trees and maple trees, all these large deciduous trees. And it was fall, and it was either late September, early October. The Halloween decorations were starting to be put out, and man, I've always loved Halloween. It's like one of my favorite things of the year. And here we are. My parents were together. I mean, they still are, but we had times after that period where it did become stressful for many years. They were together. They were happy. I didn't know conflict yet. I didn't know struggle yet. I didn't know that mommies and daddies were not perfect yet. All I knew is I was in my Red Ryder wagon, being pulled by my parents. I had my dog by my side. I was wearing a red sweater and a knit cap that my grandmother had knit for me because she loved me. I never knew death. I never knew the death of my grandparents or anyone. I only knew that moment that people loved me. And going down that road, it was late in the day, and the sun in that magic hour, the way the light turns that golden color and it shines through the leaves onto you, the yellows, the golds, the reds, the browns of autumn, right? And that hits you, and that light and that perfect amber glow. I felt perfection. And it wasn't about anything other than the pure experience of being. And that's where we need to be. So when you think about this, don't think about the stories. Don't think about what people told you. Don't think about how stupid it is you're even doing it. Don't think about anything. Just let it go. Stop judging yourself. And learn what it feels like to feel being you. Stop thinking about, stop putting words on it. Just experience it in your gut, in your soul. Feel, like experience the mind, right? It's, again, one of the reasons why I like the raven analogy for my channel, because I have a weird Odin thing anyways. But like, I like the Hugin and Munin, the two ravens, because one represents thought and one represents memory. And it makes a wonderful analogy for this, because it's that memory, that emotional memory that we are now wanting to feel within ourselves. And then we're going to pair that with the intellectual part of it, later on. We're going to put that together. But it's really two parts. The human mind, the true conscious aligned mind is two parts. It's intellect and it's emotion. And for your entire life, whether you've known it or not, you've been locked into a trap of reason where you believe that your intellectual mind is all that there is to you. And any emotions is weakness, When a man cries, that's weakness. When you feel emotions, that's weakness. You have to do so much, but not too much. You have to be aligned within a systematic norm of society. Why? Do you like the society that we're in? Do you like the life that you're living? Do you like how things are? No. Why? Because they're all sick. They're all ill. It's made of component parts. If society is made up of ill individuals, you're going to have an ill society. It's just the way it is. If you're building a house out of blue Legos, don't expect to have a yellow house. So you want to solve world hunger, you want to solve war, you want to solve politics, you want to solve the economy, you want to solve the environment. Well, it all comes down to this. It's never going to happen in this world until we all change ourselves. And once we do that, we can change our relationships with each other. And once we do that, maybe we can start getting along. Because until that time, until we're all aligned, like this is the issue, and this is ultimately the issue, right? Until we're all aligned, until we're all going in the same direction, as long as there's that one guy with too much power, as long as there's that one guy with too much greed, as long as there's that one guy who wants to take things another direction, it's hard for the rest of us to bring things to a higher state of being. Because, like, if everyone's a pacifist and you got one crazy guy running around with a sword, everyone's going to get their head chopped off. That's the world we live in. So for me, I can't stop war. I can't change the environmental devastation alone. I can't even convince anyone to do anything for themselves. All I can do is share my journey, share my story, share my pain, put myself out there and say, look, I'm doing it. And not only am I doing it, I'm not doing it alone. I'm doing it in front of all of you. I'm willing to cry and break myself down and destroy myself for all your benefit, really, so that you can see that it's okay, so that you can see that it's not scary, so that you can see, what are we wasting our time on? You know, I want freedom. I want peace. I don't want to be afraid. And I'm sure you don't want to be afraid either. Well, what's there to be afraid of anymore? I like rock music. I like Pink Floyd, The Wall. And anyone going through this, listen to that whole album, because that's a spiritual journey in a nutshell. That was Pink's spiritual journey. Okay, he spent his whole life building up his wall, from issues about his mother, from being on the road, from a cheating ex-wife. He built the wall around himself to protect himself. That's the ego, building the wall, right? Pink was the guy inside the wall. The ego was the wall being built around him to protect him. And in it, he hid his fears and his insecurities and everything else. By the time you get to Comfortably Numb, where he's talking about a drug addiction and how that's destroying him and what he needs to move on, what does he remember? He says, like, when I was a kid, I had a fever. My hands felt just like two balloons. Like, he was recounting a time when he got sick, and even though he was sick, he was in this pure place of comfort and bliss and experience. And so there was the duality of the illness and the taint within him, but in that he still felt that moment of pure pleasure. And I think that's why things resonate in that song, because he's speaking about pure experience, whether it's good or not. It was his experience. And by the end of it, by the end of the wall, when the whole wall, tears down, there's nothing left but him. And that's what we're all doing. We're all tearing down our walls. We're all trying to get back to our inner Pink when we were a child and we were innocent, before Daddy died, before, the oppression of life, before all these bad things happened to us. We're just trying to get back to us. And if we were all happy and we were all satisfied and we weren't all in this world of scarcity, struggling for paychecks and struggling for food, and we could just sit down in a room and relax and breathe with each other and enjoy the world and enjoy the gifts that we have, what are we? We're a race of people on this earth with all the gifts and everything that we could ever want: food and sunshine and friendship and good beverages and like surfing and snowboarding and boating and all these wonderful things you can do. And we spend our time trying to take things from other people, trying to run to the top of the corporate ladder and try to stick everyone under our boot heel. For what? For the ego. For the ego, not for ourselves. If it was for ourselves, we would be content just being ourselves. Well, a little ranty this morning, I suppose. I've had a little too much coffee, but it's something I'm really passionate about. It's when you see the other side of it, it's almost like a joke and you laugh. Like, I understand why so many Buddhists laugh all the time, because it's ridiculous. Like, we've constructed our own prison in this world for ourselves for no reason. And it's ridiculous. And we've had the key in our hands the whole time. All you have to do is get your mind quiet enough and be in that place where you can listen and hear it, and be brave enough to accept it. And it could be a stupid answer that you were never expecting. Maybe you're sitting there meditating, trying to figure out that next job, figuring out how you're going to get that money, figuring out how you're going to pay that mortgage, and some deep inner voice says, nah, just go on YouTube and make a bunch of spiritual videos instead. That's your destiny. And be like, that makes no sense to me. I'm an introvert. I don't like talking to people in general. I don't leave the house much. And that doesn't, I would scare the hell out of me. I don't think I could ever do that. It's like, yeah, well, that's what you're going to do now, bud. You can keep trying to get those jobs that you want, but they're gone. And I took them from you so that you would have to do this. You have no choice. You can keep fighting it or just drink the Kool-Aid and come aboard. So anyways, here I am. I'm Lyons. And this is Raven Insight. And tomorrow we'll keep going with the discussion. We'll probe a little deeper and see where else we can take this. But again, I am so grateful for all of you. So happy that you spent some time here with me today. I hope that you have a great day. I hope you find some time to breathe today. I hope the sun is shining where you are. I hope you have a great meal today. I hope you run into an old friend and have a good conversation. And you know what? When you feel like saying no, but something deep inside says, you know what? Screw it. This time I'm going to say yes. Just say yes. And the less you do, remember this one. You can't hold anything in a clenched fist, okay? So have an open hand. All right, let the opportunities fall into it and gently look at them. Don't be trying to grab at everything all the time. It's not going to work for you. Relax, embrace, be calm, enjoy the moment that you're in. And tomorrow's another day. Thank you. I'll see you again soon. I'm Lions. This is Raven Insight. Like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. I'll see you on the next one. Bye now.